You often ask about what an administrative fee is and what it can include. I will try to explain this using my example. So, often alongside the rental price of an apartment, there is an amount called an administrative fee. These are generally costs related to the maintenance of the building. As a tenant, you have the right to see in detail what is exactly included in this amount. Every landlord has such a document from the administration. However, the detailed costs and items in such a document may vary between apartments, as they depend, for example, on how a particular building is heated. Here is my example. This item represents costs such as supplying water or gas to the building. It's not related to the amount consumed, it's simply the costs associated with their presence in the building. Typically, it's calculated as a certain amount multiplied by the number of square meters of the apartment. Because in this case, the apartment includes a storage room with an area of 4.26 square meters, I also cover the operating costs for it. The amount here is the amount paid to the building manager for performing their work. It covers various repairs, liaising with various subcontractors to ensure things like cleaning are done, etc. Essentially, it's for taking care of the building. If the building has district heating, this item here tells us about the fixed amount we have to pay for the delivery of heat to the apartment. Again, it depends on the size of the apartment, not on the heat consumption, as that billing is found in a separate item. This item tells us how much we will pay for 1 cubic meter of cold water consumed. Usually, an advance payment is included in the administrative fee, and its amount is typically voluntary and depends on the declaration made by the owner to the administration. Here, we have that 4.5 cubic meters of cold water are included in the administrative fee, and the price for 1 cubic meter is 12.33. These two items, on the other hand, tell us about the costs for hot water. Just like with cold water, the owner declares how much water should be included in the administration fee as an advance payment. Here, this amount is split into the quantity of cold water to be heated, and we have the same rate as before, 12.33 per cubic meter, and the cost of heating the water itself is 23 Polish zlotys and 67 groszy. Together, 12.33 plus 23.76 gives us 36 Polish zlotys and 9 groszy for 1 cubic meter of hot water. This item, on the other hand, is an advance payment for the heating used in the apartment if the apartment has district heating. Here, we have 1 gigajoule, GJ, included as an advance payment for the price of 92 Polish zlotys and 59 groszy. Heating is usually settled in the building once a year. There are various practices for settling these costs between the landlord and the tenant, and it's not as straightforward as, for example, water billing. That's why it's worth asking about it if you're renting an apartment. This fee is the cost of waste removal, and it's probably already dependent on the number of people living in the apartment in most cities. In this example, we have 4 people. In the case of this rent, a separate item lists the advance payment amount for future renovation costs. I think in most apartments, owners pay such an advance, and it depends on the apartment's square footage. Typically, the older the building, the higher the advance. As I mentioned, this is just an example of what such a letter from the administration might look like and what it might contain. On the screen, you can now see an example of such a statement from another apartment. Here we have items such as central heating advance payment, without providing details. We also have our operating costs and an amount for future repairs. There is also an advance payment for hot water without providing details, as well as an advance payment for cold water. As you can see, these two letters differ from each other, but they also have many common items. That's why it's worth asking the owner of the apartment you are renting not only to show you the letter with administration fees but also to take a moment to explain it to you. That's all for today. Thank you guys for watching this video, hope it was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, see you in my next video. Ciao.